Welcome, friends, to a session on penalties under the Income Tax Act. Today, I am making an attempt to cover provisions relating to Section 270A and 270AA of the Income Tax Act. Penalties are levied for various defaults under the Income Tax Act, like late filing of return, non-filing of return, late payment of TDS, late filing of TDS return, and so on and so forth. There are so many defaults. But the most important one, which I consider, is concerning our members as well as the taxpayers, is the penalty for underreporting of income or underreporting of income in consequence of misreporting of income. So I thought in today's session, I will cover Section 270A dealing with penalty for underreporting and penalty for underreporting in consequence of misreporting. We are also covering provisions for immunity from imposition of penalty under Section 270A and initiation of proceedings under Section 276C or 276CC, that is the prosecution. Now, let us first look at the genesis of this provision. You are all aware that prior to assessment year 2017-18, we had another section dealing with this kind of penalty. And that section is known to all of us, and that is penalty under Section 271(1)(c). Section 271, subsection 1, clause C. Penalty for concealment of particulars of income or for suppression of facts. This penalty was replaced by the new section, Section 270A, effective from assessment year 2017-18. Now, let us first examine the reasons for replacing the old Section 271(1)(c), which was operative for so many years. And there were so many court judgments, and the entire section had almost settled down. So, what was the need for replacement? If you look at the memorandum of the Finance Act 2016, the government, the finance ministry has stated that in Section 271(1)(c, when penalty is initiated, at that stage itself, litigation starts, and there are issues which are serious before the levy of penalty. And these issues are whether penalty proceedings were initiated properly, whether satisfaction for initiation of penalty was recorded by the tax authority before commencing the penalty proceedings. And these issues were not getting settled, and the litigation started at first stage, that is levy of penalty itself. Under Section 270(1)(c), the assessing officer was required to initiate penalty proceedings during the course of assessment itself. And he was required to record satisfaction that particulars of income were concealed or there was some suppression of facts in the course of assessment or in the return of income. And if penalty was not initiated during the assessment proceedings and it was separately initiated, the courts had struck down levy of penalty on the ground that it was not initiated during the course of assessment. When Section 270A was introduced, in fact, this drawback was sought to be done away with. And at the first reading of Section 270A, we felt that now there is no need for initiation of penalty proceedings during the course of assessment, or you will observe when we discuss this section little later that penalty can be levied by commissioner appeals during the course of appeal proceedings if there are further enhancement in the additions made by the assessing officer. Penalty can be levied by commissioner or principal commissioner of income tax if during the course of revision under section 263 there is further enhancement of income. So this section at first read would give an impression that there is no need for initiation of penalty proceedings during the course of assessment or during the course of appellate proceedings or during the course of revision proceedings under section 263. However, if we look at the other connected provisions, this impression is not correct and we realize that. So let us, before we start discussion on this section itself, let us deal with this initiation of penalty first. And I will refer to those provisions which indirectly indicate that if penalty is to be levied under section 270A, where additions are made to the income declared by the assessee, then initiation of penalty proceedings during the course of assessment is necessary. Why it is so? It is so because although not specifically provided, we have subsection 6 to section 270A, which provides for 5 exceptions to levy of penalty. So even if there are additions, if certain conditions are satisfied, penalty cannot be levied under section 270A. So this implies that first the assessing officer has to initiate proceedings on the ground that there is underreporting of income. The second reason is that section 275 of the Income Tax Act provides for the time limit for levy of penalty. And this time limit has been fixed by reference to the passing of assessment order and not initiation of penalty proceedings. So if penalty proceedings are not initiated during the course of assessment, the penalty would get time barred with reference to the date of completion of assessment and not with reference to initiation of penalty proceedings. Another reason is that if we look at the section 270AA dealing with immunity from imposition of penalty, this section also puts a limit on the assessee for applying for immunity for imposition of penalty with reference to the date of receipt of assessment order and not from the date of initiation of penalty proceedings. And lastly, the assessing officer has to decide whether there is underreporting of income and whether it is in consequence of misreporting of income, for which the assessee is required to be given opportunity of being heard. So if we look at all these 4 other subsections, they indicate that penalty proceedings must be initiated during the course of assessment by the assessing officer. If it is to be done by Commissioner of Income Tax Appeals, then during the course of appellate proceedings, and if it is to be levied by Commissioner of Income Tax or Principal Commissioner of Income Tax in the course of revision proceedings, then it should be initiated during the course of revision under section 263. So even under the new section, initiation of penalty is necessary during the course of the main proceedings, that is assessment or appellate proceedings or revision proceedings.